Hey everybody, JCB here at The Awesomeness, and you're watching The Awesomeness YouTube channel. For those of you who are new to my channel and aren't quite sure what's going on, here's the deal. Every year, my beautiful wife and I go to a brand new theme park for our wedding anniversary. We're all about new experiences and seeing the world together, but we're also big fans of Six Flags. We had a Six Flags themed wedding and vowed to go to a new park every anniversary as our own special tradition. And yes, if you're wondering, we're married at the same place Beyonce recently shot her Lion King music video. It's called the Horseman Center, and it's located in Apple Valley, California, if you're wondering. We first came up with this tradition way back before we were even engaged to be married. Back when we first discovered that our season passes granted us access to every Six Flags park in North America. And we were talking about how fun that would be, and then it became like an idea of, what if we went to a new theme park every year for our anniversary? And then it became like, what if we had a Six Flags wedding? So basically, every year we've gone to a new Six Flags park. I have videos for our trips to Discovery Kingdom, Six Flags Over Texas, Six Flags Fiesta Texas, and Six Flags St. Louis on my channel, so be sure to check those out. I've also vlogged my entire honeymoon to the Bahamas if you haven't seen those videos yet. Anyway, this year, due to circumstances beyond our control, we were unable to go to a brand new Six Flags theme park outside of the state of California. But instead of just staying home and being bored, we kind of came up with a compromise where instead of going to a Six Flags park, we would go to California's Great America, which is a Cedar Fair park, which I just recently learned are the same people who own Knott's Berry Farm. And since California's Great America is located in Northern California, we decided this would be a great opportunity to see San Francisco, a place neither of us had ever been. You see, the whole go to a new theme park thing is kind of a guide/excuse on where we decide to go, but we do a lot more than just ride roller coasters while we're there. We like to sample the local restaurants, we like to see local sites, and just experience as much of the area as we possibly can while we're out there. My point is, we'll be doing more than just roller coasters. This is video one of what I think is going to be 4 videos documenting what we did every single day of our vacation. So with all that said, let's jump right in to day one. In order to fully understand day one, you'll need a little bit of context of day 0, I guess. You see, we left town on Tuesday morning, so Monday was kind of a regular day. We woke up at our regular time, my wife went to work, I stayed home and did errands and laundry and got things kind of ready for going on the trip, and I uploaded a video and did all those normal things. Then my wife got home super late, and after a very late dinner, we decided to actually start packing our suitcase. We weren't done packing until about 2:30 a.m. And since we had to leave the house by 3 a.m. to get to the airport by 4 a.m. to check in for our flight, which was at 6 a.m., we didn't go to sleep at all Monday night. We didn't really think this would be a big deal since, we pulled all-nighters before, and we'd actually scheduled extra time into our trip to account for the fact that our first day would basically be wasted, just sort of getting settled into the hotel room, making plans, and basically just relaxing after the flight. We'd rarely get off the plane and jump right into activities. So back to day one. We arrived at Ontario International Airport right around 4 a.m. and were surprised to see that we were the first to check in for our flight. The whole airport was empty with the exception of 2 guards at the security checkpoint. There wasn't really anyone around. Our flight left right on time and we arrived in San Francisco Airport at about 8:15 a.m. We made our way to the baggage claim, and for the first time ever, our bag was the first one off the plane. We got on the air train and made our way to the rental car desks, and then we drove from the airport to San Francisco and found a place to park the car while we checked into our hotel. And this is where we started to have problems on that first day. You see, we kind of expected to be paying for parking the whole time we were there because old cities like San Francisco have a premium on space, so parking lots are always few and far between, and they usually cost a little more than you'd like. But we were not expecting it to cost as much as it did. We literally spent a couple $100s on parking over just the few days we were there. And anyway, once we parked, we walked around the corner to the hotel, and we were a little shocked by how ghetto it was. And not just the hotel, the surrounding area. It turns out we booked a hotel located in San Francisco's infamous Tenderloin. Now I should point out that my wife and I are not those weird hipster people who go to the depraved parts of town because of how real and diverse the neighborhood is. We're not into poverty porn or anything like that. This was a straight up mistake. We just tried to book an affordable hotel and we ended up in the most dangerous part of San Francisco. And the Tenderloin is just a small, dumpy part of a town that is by and large a giant dump of a town. So I want to get all the negative stuff about San Francisco out of the way first so the rest of the videos can focus on the positive and fun things that we did. So basically I should say that I was really excited about going to San Francisco. Like, I really thought this would be a place that I would fall in love with. It seems like this huge, amazing place when you see it on TV and in the movies, and amazing people have come from San Francisco, but boy, oh boy, does that place suck. I mean, even the nice parts of town are worse than many, if not all of the other cities I've been to, including downtown LA. I did a post about this on my channel before, but the wife and I went to a Tim Burton themed restaurant called Beetle House in Los Angeles a few months ago, and it was pretty cool, but it was located in a really crappy part of LA. Compared to San Francisco, however, LA was a freaking paradise, and I don't like LA. I would never live in LA, but there are nice parts of Los Angeles, and if you had the means, I could see why somebody would want to live there. That's not really the case with San Francisco. We went all over the city, as you will see in these upcoming videos, and there was not a single spot that I would want to live in, even if I had the money, and I can't imagine why anybody lives there at all. Like, the streets alone are like they were designed by a deranged madman. The Tenderloin is by far the worst area, and I think that's the problem with the city overall. When you have a bar that low, it leads to the rest of the city having a lower standard of quality, because no matter how bad things are in the nicer parts of town, they always have that excuse of, at least it's not as bad as the Tenderloin. And this is just my own personal opinion, it's probably gonna be an unpopular opinion, but you guys should just get rid of the cable cars already. I mean, they look ridiculous. I know they've been around for like 100 years, and they're part of the San Francisco iconography and all that stuff, but it's 2019, guys. I did see some electric buses, but even those seem to be running on the ridiculous bumper car power, which requires a mess of wires above the streets and make your skies look like the backside of a messy TV stand. And I don't take joy in saying any of this stuff. As I said, I was excited to go to San Francisco. I wanted to love this place. I'm just really sad that it's in such a state of disarray. I mean, the state of California has really failed San Francisco. That place needs an overhaul, and it hasn't been getting one at all. It's literally a place where you will see people injecting heroin into their veins right there on the sidewalk, and people literally smoking crack on the corner of a busy intersection with cops driving by. That is not an exaggeration, that is what we saw. Anyway, we were staying at the Warfield Hotel, which, as I was saying, sits in the middle of what looks like a war zone. We went inside and were greeted by a bunch of people sitting around like a folding card table, eating toast and watching TV in the very small lobby, and it was weird. So we asked if we could check into our hotel room, and it was about 9 a.m., and so they told us no, the check-in time was at 2 p.m., which was 5 hours away. And this is 100% our fault. I mean, this vacation was literally booked within minutes of us finding out that we were even allowed to go on vacation, and we literally did it the Friday before we left. So like, we had no time to research anything, and that is not like us. Normally we put a lot of time into researching and finding the best deals and what's the best part of town, where are we gonna go, what are we gonna do, and like, we planned everything out, and this time it was so spur of the moment and so spontaneous that we didn't have time to do any of that. So it's 100% our fault, but this self-imposed misery was made even worse by the fact that at that point, we had been awake for over 24 hours and we were just dead exhausted. Unable to check into our hotel room, we went to breakfast at Taylor Street Coffee Shop, which was okay. While we were at breakfast, I was actually searching for hotels that were available in Santa Clara, California, which is where California's Great America is located, figuring maybe we could just forfeit the almost $300 we spent on this hotel room and go get a new hotel in a place that doesn't smell like human urine and poop everywhere. But ultimately we decided that that would be a huge waste of money, and it's just a stupid place for us to sleep and keep our luggage, so who cares? We're gonna be out doing stuff all day anyway. It's literally just a place to sleep. After breakfast, we didn't really have a plan of where we were gonna spend 5 hours, so we walked down to Union Square because I recognized the name from a general osmosis of San Francisco references and pulp culture. This is definitely one of the nicest parts of town, but still physically dirty. And there were plenty of homeless people just wandering around talking to themselves and acting weird. We walked around a little more, just sort of aimlessly trying to find a way to kill some time, and we came across this place called Jeffrey's Toys, which claims to be the oldest toy store in San Francisco. They had quite a few toys and a decent selection of comic books. We spent about 15 minutes in there just looking at everything. Next, we decided to go to the Museum of Modern Art, and we purchased tickets to the Andy Warhol exhibit, figuring we could kill a few hours and see some cool pop art from a famous San Francisco artist. The museum had a lot of pieces from his early career, as well as several of his more famous works. There was also a small theater setup that showed off his experimental portrait films, as well as a room featuring silver clouds, these metallic balloons filled with helium that visitors were encouraged to gently interact with. Even though we were beyond exhausted, I am glad we didn't waste a day in bed and instead got to see this amazing exhibit. Oh, by the way, what do you see in this ink blot painting? Take a look and leave a comment down below. I personally see two girls with bows in their hair and ponytails right next to each other. In addition to the Andy Warhol pieces, we also got to check out some artwork by other artists that were on display. This piece actually encouraged people to walk on it with their shoes on to feel the different textures of the different tiles, which was pretty neat. At first glance, I thought this was a piece of performance art, like this was just a real dude standing very still. But nope, it's just a really detailed sculpture. And this giant human head was so incredibly detailed, down to the individual hairs of stubble, that I'm actually sad my camera doesn't capture its full essence. After the museum, we started heading back to the hotel, as it was right about 1 p.m. This time we decided to avoid as much of the slums as possible, which meant we had to walk around a little bit and it took a little longer, but since we were trying to kill time, it worked out in our favor. We got back to the hotel right before 2 p.m. and thankfully they let us into our room because at this point, I was pretty much brain dead from exhaustion. The room was small, which again we kind of expected, as in overcrowded cities like this, space is at a premium. What we didn't expect was the lack of an air conditioner of any kind, the lack of any hot water in the shower of any kind, or the fact that the floor itself would be incredibly slanted. We decided to test if the floor was actually slanted by seeing if my wedding band would roll on the floor without any kind of push. Needless to say, this was concerning, especially when the Tenderloin is known as the flat part of San Francisco. The hotel isn't slanted, the street isn't slanted, just the floor in our room was slanted. Out of curiosity, I decided to break out my bubble level app on my phone. This app is accurate up to 0.1 degrees, and it was showing the floor slants 2 full degrees, which doesn't sound like much, but punch those numbers into a calculator and you'll realize 2 degrees over the span of the 15-foot room is a height difference of 6.5 inches. And it felt like it. While you were walking towards the window, it felt like you were walking uphill. And the next morning, like early in the morning, my wife, in sort of a sleepy daze, got out of bed to use the restroom and actually kind of crashed into the door due to the momentum caused by that downhill slope. Anyway, we ended up taking a nap at about 3 o'clock and we slept until right about 7:30 or so. And at that point we decided to take an Uber to dinner. Partly because we had already paid for overnight parking, and partly because we didn't want to get stabbed. For dinner we decided to play it safe and go somewhere familiar.
Where are we, babe?
Cheesecake Factory.
We got a table on the balcony which had a great view of Union Station, and even though it was in the high 60s that night, the balcony was mostly warm thanks to the glass walls that blocked most of the wind and the outdoor heaters above and around us. It only really got cold when a brisk breeze came through. We had a nice dinner followed by some delicious dessert and caught another Uber back to the hotel where we retired for the night. Anyway, this video is probably already 10 minutes at this point, and it's kind of a natural place for us to end things for today. So I'm going to call this the end of part 1. Make sure you subscribe so you can catch part 2, 3, and 4. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up. I had over an hour of raw footage to edit together. So there's a lot coming. We go to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, we go to California's Great America, we ride random rides in and around the San Francisco area. There's a lot of stuff coming, so make sure you do check that out. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, as I release new videos every day for the next 18 days. So until next time, keep being awesome. It was getting close to closing and we still had a lot of tokens left, so we decided to play this spinning coin game thing again, and I hit about 8 more bonuses. It was pretty crazy, and then in between I got a couple like 7s and 8s and 12s and 15s. But for the most part, I was getting that 100-point bonus a lot. I think the key is to start pressing